Hey guys, and welcome to this episode of the Bad Idea Bros. Today you join me in the shed, and we are back working on the Honda today. Now, if you saw the last episode, you would have seen me trying to tidy up all the loose ends on this bike to get it as close to going perfectly as possible. Since then, I've ordered the new parts we needed, so you can see that I've got a brand new battery, some brand new tyres, and on the ground there are the original cables from the Honda lead. I'll come back to those later. We had a little bit of a success with our local Honda dealership. They've actually been able to order me a return spring for that Honda lead kickstart. It's not here yet, but it's only a few days away, so hopefully that'll be here sooner than later, and we can get this thing functionally back together. The cables on the ground I have taken out of the Honda lead. It's all the original stuff, and the reason I've done that is because I want to try and get that front tyre working on the Honda Today. That standard wheel and the little drum brake from the Today, I just don't think it's going to have enough bite to actually stop this bike. It's going to be making a heck of a lot more power, and if I can't stop, I'm not really going to feel safe on the thing. So I'm going to give it a really good effort to try and get the lead's front wheel assembly on there. I know I did say in the last episode that it's just not going to happen, but I've spent a little bit of time and looked a little closer at things, and I think I've got solutions for most of the issues I was having. Whether they work or not, I don't know, but I definitely think they're worth a try. So, the original plan for this episode was to fit the new parts, give it my best effort to get that front wheel on the Today, and hopefully ride this thing out of the shed. But you know what they say about the best made plans, and unfortunately, that's not going to happen. I'm probably going to have to walk away from this bike. Now, the reason for that requires me leaving here and taking you guys for a little ride. So guys, I have managed to buy back the old Honda Today. Now I thought it'd be fitting to bring you guys back to the same spot of where I first bumped into it, and we'll take this thing for a little ride. So a few things have changed since I built this thing and I last had it. There's obviously some very rough edges on it now. The front guard is broken, so that's missing. We've got some cracks in the fairing that were never there before, and the tail light's cracked. But the big one is that this bike's now been dropped, so you might be able to see there are some scratches down the exhaust, and obviously on the side panels and such, and on this front leg shield. But essentially the bike has not really changed since I sold it. You guys may have seen in a previous episode that it did the Scooter Safari, so this was Sons of Bitches team in 2024, and it successfully completed that run. So that little 50cc definitely punching above its weight to go over to the west coast. Nothing else has really changed other than it's just been used and gotten a little rougher. But guys, this thing's really thrown a spanner in the works in regard to the other build. So yeah, I'm very attached to this one. I couldn't really say no when it was offered to me. So yeah. It runs, it starts, it rides, it does everything it needs to do. So let's take it for a little run and see how this little 50cc does. So you can hear right off the bat that the starter motor doesn't quite disengage correctly, so that is one thing that we'll need to sort out. But 60 kilometre speedo, and the mileage has gone up considerably since I last used it. So it has been used, which is good to see. And it's obviously incredibly rowdy. Oh, that noise does still make me laugh. This little thing is obviously running really sweet now. When I first built it, I never actually had it running properly. It turned out it had an issue with the little vacuum operated fuel pump, and the ECU or the CDI was throwing up some issues. So yeah, this little thing just goes now. So there we have it, guys. This was not the route that I'd originally expected to go with this thing. Today's episode was genuinely trying to get this red one moving under its own power and rideable, but fate's thrown me a different course from that. So with the grey scooter, I always felt that I'd never quite finished that project, that there was just something left to do. And now I've got an opportunity to scratch that itch and to fulfill that need to finish that bike. So pretty happy. It does mean a hell of a lot more work. I basically now need to undo everything I've done in that red bike and transfer it to the grey bike, but it shouldn't be too bad. All the hard work is done. The figuring out's been finished. It is literally just going to be transferring it from one bike to the other. So, yeah, an unexpected twist, I suppose, but it is what it is. I'm really, really, really happy to have the grey bike back, and to be able to make it something really special, that does mean a lot to me. So, yeah, more work, but I think it's going to be worth it. Now, we just need to do it. So, let's get into this thing. Alright, so here we go again, guys. I think I'm going to approach this in a few different steps. The first step will be to pull the power plant out of the red scooter again. Only should be a couple of bolts and unplug the wiring, and that'll come out as a whole unit. Then I will transfer that into the grey scooter. So obviously we'll pull that little noisy 50cc out and slam the 102cc into the grey scooter. Then put the 50 back into the red one. Once we've done that, I think I'm going to strip off the parts that I need from the red scooter. So the good headlight, we've got the good tail light that's not broken. Obviously the grey one has some damaged parts, so the headlight's pretty buggered, and we've got the broken tail light. So they are a direct swap. Then I might look at trying to integrate the leads cables into this grey bike. That's probably going to be as far as I'll get on this one. However, I do also want to strip back these grey plastics. So when I built this initially, these were absolutely perfect. Well, not perfect, but they were really bloody good. It's obviously got all this scratching and stuff in it now from where it's seen the road. I can fix that quite easily. If you guys saw me rebuilding the little Suzuki Stardust, you'll know that I've got a little bit of experience with doing plastics. So we'll get them up to speed, and I'll respray them. I've still got some of that grey left, so we can sort that out. The front guard is going to be a bit of an interesting one. I'll take this off because obviously the whole front is missing. I can use this, however I don't specifically want to sand that and paint it grey because I would like to keep this one whole, because then I can move the bike along with that 50cc in it. So yeah, guys, we've got quite a bit to do, although I don't think it'll be too bad. It is just a bolt in, bolt out. So yeah, we may as well start. So I owe you an apology there, guys. I've just gone to turn the cameras that were filming the time lapse off, and they were both flat. I don't know where they stopped, so I'm not sure how much of this you saw. But essentially, what we've done is what we're aiming to do. The 50cc has been swapped out of the grey bike into the red one, and that is running, riding, stopping, doing everything it should, and starts on the button every time. So that's a win. The lead motor is now in the grey one. We are exactly where we were previously, which I know seems pretty crazy, but like I said, I'm attached to the grey one, and I would rather have that with the big motor than having the red one as well. So yeah, in essence, guys, that was pretty straightforward. There was not a lot that needed to be figured out. The motor out of the grey bike is literally just a bolt in and a plug into the red bike, so that was really simple. And obviously we did all the hard yards modifying that lead motor to fit into it today. So again, that was just a bolt in and a plug in. So yeah, really, really straightforward, just a little time consuming. I have put the plastics and everything back onto the grey bike. Probably shouldn't have, but I just wanted to make sure everything was still going to work. And yeah, it will. So there's no variance whatsoever in the two bikes. I didn't really expect it, but I just wanted to be sure. So what we will probably do next is start mucking around with the front of the grey bike. I'm going to pull everything off of the front, and we'll see if we can't swap those cables out, and we'll try and get that Leeds front wheel to work. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. Alright guys, so we've gone backwards to go forwards a little bit. You would have just seen on that time lapse that I've removed all of the today's front cables. So we've got the brake cable, the speedo cable, and I went to the effort of pulling the throttle cable as well. Now that did technically work, but I didn't like how it matched up with the carburetor on the lead, and because I've got the lead's standard cables, I may as well try and run them. Now, I haven't pulled the back brake out of the today, purely because it seems to work really quite well, so I might be able to leave that one as it is. But yeah, we're going to be working up here, so first things first, I'll make sure that the throttle cable is going to work in the standard throttle tube. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to pull the one off of the lead, and then I will probably have to try and match the passenger side. That's fine, that's easy enough to do if I have to do that. Brake cable should work. These are all pretty much the same size. Honda are really good with that. They use the same sort of components, so fingers crossed that'll work. And the Speedo is the big one. So what I was saying in either the last episode or the one before, I can't honestly remember now, this is the issue we've got in, well, one of the issues we've got in swapping the wheel. So the way that this retains and the drive type is different to what the lead has. So there's no real way I was going to be able to run that Speedo with the leads wheel. So my big hope is that this little threaded guy here, that they're just a generic thread. It's obviously square drive on here. I will get the leads one now just to show you guys what we're looking at. So the length is actually surprisingly similar, and we've got the today on this side, we've got the lead there, so you can see that they're both square drive, roughly the same size. And in looking at that now, it looks like the threaded caps are the same size. The difference being this end down here. So this one's the today and this one's the lead. You can possibly see, yep, there we go. The head type for the Speedo drive is completely different to what the today runs. So yeah, that was one thing that was stopping me from running the leads front wheel. That's going to be pretty easy. I'm hoping the front brakes are also just as easy. And the throttle cable, I guess. So it is all coming together. Even though it looks like we're going backwards, we are actually technically going forwards. So yeah, I'm going to offer these cables up, see if I can make them work, and we will press on. Okay guys, so we have had some massive wins here. I've actually managed to integrate all of the leads cables. So the Today has exactly the same brake size on the lever, so that went straight in. The thread that accommodates the throttle cable, absolutely the same, and we've still got the full operation of the throttle. Now, the throttle cable for the lead is a little longer, which is what I was hoping, because it lays a lot flatter on the motor. The Today's one was coming up on such an arch that it was contacting the bottom of the seat bucket. The thing that's crazy is it even has, you probably won't see, there's a cable retainer just in here. It's in exactly the same place as the Today, so the length of this is longer, but that was still well within spitting distance of where I needed it. Speedo cable went straight onto the back of the Speedo. The thread that I was hoping is the same and the length, although it's longer, I've just basically taken a bit more of a circuitous route that goes around the back here instead of just coming straight down under here. So that should be fine, and the brake cable is obviously in place as well. Now we do have a little bit of an issue in that if we were to put this stub end through the brakes where it needs to be on this lever, they would be pulled so far up that the brake would be constantly on. But because this is drum, we can just pop that little bolt off there, and we'll change the angle of this up ever so slightly. It doesn't have a hell of a lot of range of movement. It's only moving probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 centimeters. So if we take this off, we'll slide it around a few splines, and then we'll put it back on, and that should hopefully work a treat. And that's the front brake on. Now, the other issue that I mentioned was this wheel spacer. Now, you may or may not be able to see, but between the bottom of the fork leg here and the wheel, there is this spacer. The standard lead one didn't fit, but because I'm a bit of a pack rat, I kept hold of a whole bunch of these from different builds. Turns out that a CT90, Honda CT90 or Trail 90, it's exactly the right size. So that fits in that gap. And you can see, well, hopefully you can see, if I can get the camera right, pull that down, that wheel is dead center. Now you might notice that there's still quite a bit of movement in it. That's because the axle is from the Today, and that is a lot smaller outside diameter than the lead. So, how are we going to address that? Well, I plan to run the lead's axle. I'm just going to have to drill out the holes on the bottom of the fork legs to accept this thicker axle, which is just sitting on the front of the lead currently. So that should take that. The size or length from end to end, identical. So guys, that is, in theory, going to work. The only thing I have left to figure out is the little stopper in here. If I can get that to rotate, you'll see that obviously there's quite a bit of movement in there. So I'm going to have to figure out something with that. Hopefully I can make something up that sleeves over the top of the Today stay and is the right width to hold this drum brake in space. So yeah, that was a huge win. Right guys, I am going to call it a day and therefore an episode there, because it's been another long one. I know it looks like we've gone backwards, but we've actually taken quite a leap forward. So figuring out that front end when I initially thought it wasn't going to happen, that's a huge win. The cables just swapping straight over, honestly, this lead Today conversion thing, it's just meant to be. Everything has fit exactly the way I wanted it to. Like I said, we've had to reroute the front speedo cable and brake cable. They are longer, which is to be expected coming off of a bigger bike. But one extra little loop, and hey, it actually fits really well. I really wanted to make the effort to get that lead's front wheel on the Today. I just want that stopping power, and it looks like we're going to do it. So that is awesome. Obviously, we did swap the floor on the red bike. Like I said earlier in the episode, I want to take off all of the better parts. So basically make this one as good as it can be. And it kind of worked out quite well, because the parts that were broken on the grey one were in really good condition on the red one. So yeah, the red one was the initial plan, but as I mentioned, when this came up, because I'm so attached to it and I didn't feel like I ever really quite finished it, it was a no-brainer for me. It just had to happen. So yeah, the red one has successfully got that little 50cc in it. It starts, it runs, it does what it needs to do. So that is a complete bike, and I can sell that. So I can recoup some of the money that this thing owes me and the money that I've put into the build. Right, so going forward, we've got a few little shortlist things to do for the next episode. Mainly, I want to get those new tyres fitted to the lead's rims now that I know I can make them work. That will bring the tyre size down, because at the moment the lead has the lead's wheels have really tall tyres. They're not quite contacting that rear mudguard, but with a bit of suspension travel they might. And that's not something I want to risk. Obviously the front guard, there's not a heck of a lot of clearance there either, so same. The tyres, as I mentioned, are in between what you would find on a Today and on a lead, so I think that should work quite well. It should give me the clearances that I need, and still be big enough to put the power from that motor to the ground. We're not talking huge numbers here, guys. It is still a scooter, but when it's in that lighter frame, it should be a lot of fun. I do have a couple of jobs to do off camera, which I'll catch you guys up on the next episode, and they should hopefully have this thing to a point where the next episode will be the last episode and the bike will be done, finished, ready to go. So, that being said, I do appreciate you guys following along. This has been another episode of not a heck of a lot happening, but some changes, and unfortunately that's the reality of these builds. So, if you did enjoy what you saw, thank you, and please do subscribe, because I will be bringing you more of this content, and I'm very excited to have this one finished. So, as always, I do thank you for following along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!